welcome back to some more into the lore of Dead by Daylight. Today we are now going to finally look at the original killer that were doing this long before any artists or ghouls come running around. The Trapper with his bear traps, the Wraith with his bell, and the Hillbilly with his chainsaw. Now, without further ado, let's go into the lore with these three.
There was a vast monster of a man with a hideous grin torn across the mask that keeps stalking my every move. Similar to a hunter, he tracks us, priming devastating traps amongst the greenery. Extreme vigilance and a light step is essential in avoiding the blood-curdling clench of a bear trap or the clutches of what I've taken to calling the miserable, smiling killer. I have but many times managed to get caught in one of these traps. I have nothing but a fear for the feeling of a blunt trap spikes grinding against my bones, or for the heavy and deliberate footsteps which always inevitably reveal a plastered, sadistic grin. With the traps and the trapper, it has so far been a constant battle between looking up and looking down.
Evan McMillan, the Trapper. Evan McMillan idolized his father. It wasn't just that he was heir to a great fortune, it was the way he ran the estate. Raised under his firm hand, Evan had taken to running the workforce with an iron hand. Production was always high and the McMillan estate prospered under father and son. As Archie McMillan's mental health slowly disintegrated, Evan protected him from the herd who wanted a piece of the fortune. No matter what his father asked of him, Evan would do. When Archie McMillan finally snapped, Evan became his enforcer in what would become known as the worst mass murder in modern history. They never proved that Evan led over 100 men into those dark tunnels before detonating the explosives and sealing them to their fate. The tale of the McMillan estate is a tale of wealth and power gone very wrong. How many victims fell to the hands of father and son is unknown. No record is ever made of what became of Evan McMillan. His father is another unsolved puzzle, found trapped in the locked basement of his own warehouse, starved and abandoned. Armed with a bag of bear traps, the trappers specialize in catching unsuspecting survivors. By placing traps in high-traffic areas and thick patches of grass, he creates a deadly area that forces survivors to move with caution. When dealing with the trapper, a simple misstep can prove fatal. The Trapper is an area control killer, able to apply pressure across the map by placing deadly bear traps for survivors to step into. His personal perks, unnerving presence, brutal strength, and agitation allow him to chase and carry survivors more effectively. He is focused on physical attributes and making use of his strength and the survivor's fear. Agitation. You get excited in anticipation of hooking your prey. While carrying a survivor, agitation activates. Increase your carrying speed by 18%. Increase your terror radius by plus 12 meters.
At some point, the excitement of hooking one of us becomes more important than the desire to kill us.
Brutal strength. Your great strength allows you to shred through your prey's defenses. While performing the break or damage action on breakable walls, pallets, or generators, brutal strength triggers its effects. Increase action speed by 20%.
It is more than muscle. A dark power motivates the beast.
Unnerving presence. Your presence alone instills great fear. While inside your terror radius, survivors performing a repairing or healing action suffer from the following effects. Increase the chance of triggering a skill check by plus 10%. Reduces the success zone of those skill checks by 60%.
Its presence befall us.
Brutal and effective. Evan is a calculated beast of a man that's been doing this for God knows how long. But he isn't the only threat that's been here for a long time. We still have two more to look at.
There's another apparition, more terrifying than anything I've ever seen, hunting amongst the shadows here. It moves like a silhouette, appearing and disappearing at the sound of a dreaded bell. It's impossible to track it. Several times it has caught me without me even seeing it closing in. Often convinced I had my back covered, It had promptly materialized right behind me to strike me from close range. Stay still and watch the fog. Don't move. Don't blink. And for God's sake, don't breathe. If you can control your fear long enough, you can show self-control. Sometimes it is possible to see it shimmer as it glides forward if caught at just the right light. I pray for your safety.
Philip Ajomo, the Wraith. Philip Ajomo came to this country without anything than hope for a new beginning. He was happy as he got offered a job at Autohaven Records, a small scrapyard where bribed cops turned a blind eye for the somewhat shady business that took place. Ajomo didn't care. He had seen criminal activity up close in his homeland, and as long as he didn't get involved, he let things be. He just fixed cars and handled the crusher, something he did really well. A car went in and a small metallic cube came out. It was not until one gloomy day that he, just by accident, saw some blood coming from one of the uncrushed cars. As he opened the trunk, he found a young man, gagged and with tied hands with panic-filled eyes. Ajomo freed the man, who managed to run 10 feet before Ajomo's boss stopped him and slit his throat. As Ajomo demanded answers, he got explained to him that he'd been nothing more than a simple executioner, as more or less every car had a soul in them, as this was a service the scrapyard provided to certain clients. Ajomo snapped and went ballistic. He threw his boss in the crusher and let it slowly compress as the head stuck out. Ajomo grabbed it and pulled head and spine out of the body. Then he left and was never seen again. Using his wailing bell to render himself invisible, the Wraith tracks his prey and strikes with little warning. Upon hearing the bell's fateful chime, survivors must think fast or suffer the consequences. A hit-and-run specialist, the Wraith is adept at keeping everybody injured. The Wraith is a stealth killer, able to cloak and uncloak at the ringing of his wailing bell. His personal perks, Predator, Bloodhound, and Shadowborn, give him extra ability to track and locate survivors, making him a very efficient hunter. He focuses on tracking and hunting survivors, making it easier to catch and kill them. Bloodhound. Like a hunting scent hound, you smell traces of blood at a great distance. Bloodhound causes the following effects. Pools of blood left by injured survivors appear in bright red, extends their lifetime by 4 seconds.
Pebbles shimmering in the moonlight. My life drips down in a trail so easy to follow.
Predator. Your acute tracking ability allows you to find lost prey more easily. Whenever you lose a survivor in a chase, Predator triggers its effect. Their aura is revealed to you for 4 seconds. Predator has a cooldown of 40 seconds.
Never stop moving and hope you're always 2 steps ahead of the beast.
Shadowborn. You have a keen vision in the darkness of the night. Whenever you are blinded by any means, Shadowborn triggers its effects, grants a 10% haste status effect for 10 seconds.
Shining in the darkest dark, his eyes pierce the night and sting your soul.
Philip just wanted a quiet life after coming from his war-torn home. However, happy ending like that are few to others. And unfortunately for Philip, he wasn't the lucky ones. Or maybe he was, depending on our next core killer we have.
A most terrible man to behold. His physique is all twisted and disfigured, as if by some awful accident. He carries a deadly and cruel chainsaw, which he wields with devastating violence, seemingly imbuing him with a superhuman speed for a while. His advantage is also a weakness, as the loud noise can give away his position. So I have tried to heighten my sense of sound, honing in on any sound that is not stemming from nature.
Max Thompson Jr., the Hillbilly. The son of wealthy landowners, Max Thompson Sr. and Evelyn Thompson, this unnamed boy was an unwanted child born to savage parents. Hideously disfigured, he was shut away from society. So ashamed of their son, they bricked him off into a room and fed him through a hole in the wall. When the boy escaped, he took his revenge savagely and terribly. slaughtering the parents that had tortured him instead of raising him. After the deed was done, he continued to live his life at the farm, taking out his deranged violence on the animals that were allowed to run free. As he finally broke free from his shackles, he ran through the cornfields, chasing and slaughtering whatever he could find. They never found the bodies of Max and Evelyn, but they did find tortured and disemboweled animals all over the farm. Coldwind Farm was quickly settled and the land split up and sold off. There was never a buyer for the farmhouse. Perhaps it was the sound of the chainsaw you could hear throughout those hot summer nights. The sound of a revving motor, followed by a bloodthirsty scream of rage. The hillbilly isn't exactly subtle, but he makes up for it in brutal efficiency, capable of traversing great distance at a rapid pace. Those in his path will be rudely introduced to 100 gnashing chainsaw blades. The hillbilly is a high mobility killer, able to cover large distances in a short amount of time and instantly down a survivor using a chainsaw. His personal perks, Enduring, Lightborn, and Tinkerer, allow him to enhance his power and make him harder to lose during chases. He's about persistence and resilience. This will make it harder for survivors to foil him. Enduring. You are resilient to pain. You benefit from the following effect. Reduces the duration of pallet stuns by 50%. This effect does not apply when stunned while carrying a survivor.
He stops at nothing.
Lightborn. Unlike other beasts of the fog, you have adapted to light. The auras of survivors attempted to blind you by any means are revealed to you for 10 seconds. Grant immunity from being blinded from flashlights, firecrackers, flash grenades, and blast mine. These monsters, they adapt. They emerge with strange new abilities. Tinkerer. Whenever a generator is repaired to 70%, you benefit from the following effects. Trigger allows noise notification for that generator, revealing its location. Grants the undetectable status effect for the next 16 seconds. Tinkerer can only trigger once per generator per trial.
The hillbilly makes impressive tools out of scraps. Tools aim at maiming us in creative ways.
Max didn't deserve the abuse he got from his parents. He deserved to be loved and cared for like any other child. Now as a grown man, he took his vengeance on his parents and ravaged his farmstead. Well, what used to be his farmstead. And like I said before, you can still hear the chainsaw on those cool nights.